Because when you look at numbers and you look at data, it allows you to avoid making any decisions based on emotion, which is the very worst thing you could do related to real estate. I've preached for years. Anybody who does real estate, we preach all the time. You've got to remove the emotion out of any deals that you're underwriting. Okay, you can't fall in love with the rehab because it's down the street from another house that you own. You can't fall in love with the rental because it's in this certain neighborhood that your kids you grew up in, or you just can't let the emotion that it used to be 2 doors down from where your parents had their first house. Like, none of that should ever play into decision making. Is any kind of emotional outside thing. It should always be based on the numbers. Does it cash flow? Will it turn a profit for a rehab? Is it a good commercial property or multifamily property? You need to be looking at these deals, stripping out emotion. And the same is true as we look at the market, where the market is headed, where it's going. Because as you see data points in the news, as you hear stories in the news, if you pay attention to kind of this groupthink that usually takes place, there's always massive exaggerations, right? And so 2 or 3 years ago, when the market was super, super hot, it was like, this is going to go on forever. We're all going to be making millions in real estate. Could it ever stop? And there's clickbait headlines, right, that constantly go on when you're in the news. And so if you fall for, or even if you just read the headline but don't go deeper into the data, you think it's going to be amazing forever, and you could have made some really poor decisions over the last couple of years if you didn't know what was coming was coming. Right? And in the same way, as we've seen a little bit of a pullback, and we've seen a hike in interest rates, and there's just been less sales. Sales are at lows. Affordability is at long-time lows. And if you, again, clickbait, the news is going to constantly feed you this kind of like negative narrative about real estate, which leads to questions that I get all the time. I got it just a couple nights ago when I was teaching on a webinar for Jeff here at Marcus Point Church. Is now a good time to invest in real estate? Right? There's still some of that hesitancy and trepidation and wondering because there's a lot of negativity in a lot of ways in some places. Now, many of you who are active in the market, Hamby back there, and many of us that are staying very busy in the market, there's no negativity here. Like, people are still making money, deals are happening. But if you're not in the market, or you're just marginally, or you're new, or you're just trying to get started, sometimes just news or headlines or people's opinions can oftentimes sway you and your enthusiasm for what is an amazing business. And I want to make sure you're not swayed by headlines, swayed by anything other than real, significant, tangible data. Okay? And so that's why I do this. And again, I know it's a little wonky and it gets a little, like we're in school and a little professorial. So there's going to be some graphs, more graphs than you'll ever see me teach with. But this is the point of this meeting, is make sure that you have hard data to make good quality decisions on moving forward. And then next month, when we hit March, we'll be off and running with real world stuff you can do every single day to start finding more deals and making more money.